Good evening. Here is the world news from BGI TV, Bababagede Imo TV. I am Mori Rabila Lawal. First are the major headlines for the world news. Doctors fleeing Nigeria, not too many. We have backup. Buhari regime. Attacks, assassinations, Osun government talks tough. Editors, Serap, sue Buhari, NBC, others over plan to shut 53 stations. OPC decries high gas cost, wants subsidy sustained. Undertakers of privatization ready to take over public universities, ASU. Varsity student club stepmother to death. Recovered Abacha loot, it's $333.7 million US, condemns corruption. Falconet not stranded in Turkey, NFF. Now the news in detail. The Minister of Health, Osage Hanere, says there are enough medical doctors in Nigeria, but President Muhammadu Buhari's regime is working towards replacing any doctor who resigns and leaves the country. Mr. Hanere said this on Tuesday in Abuja during a media conference. He also said there was no embargo on employment of doctors and other health personnel in the country. There is no embargo on employing doctors where there is a need. We do. But because there is a civil service regulation, there are processes before doctors are employed. We have heard complaints of doctors who are now leaving the system, the minister explained. The minister further explained that the ministry was working with the Office of the Head of Civil Service to use the one-for-one employment strategy so that if one doctor or nurse resigns to go abroad, another one is employed. Moving on to the next story on the world news this hour. The Osun State government yesterday warned those beating the drum of violence and bloodshed in the state to desist or face the wrath of the state. The state government gave the warning after its weekly executive council meeting. This followed recent assassination of chieftains of the All Progressive Congress (APC) in the state and several violent attacks on party members and government officials, including the wife of the governor, Mrs. Kafayat Oyetola. A statement by the Commissioner for Information and Civic Orientation, Funke Egbemode, said the government is very worried about the spate of politically motivated assassinations in Osun, a state that has enjoyed peace and tranquility in the last 4 years and has earned its rating as the nation's safest place. Sadly, innocent and peace-loving people are beginning to live in fear since the announcement of the result of the governorship election because of a revival of the violent culture that the People's Democratic Party (PPDP) is known for. We have intelligence report that more of such attacks are being planned and targeted at government officials and chieftains of the ruling party in order to further eat up the polity of the state and, by extension, disrupt the peace of the state of the living spring, Osun State. Moving forward to the next story on the world news. The Nigeria Guild of Editors, NGE, and the Socio-Economic Right and Accountability Project, SERAP, have instituted a lawsuit against President Muhammadu Buhari and the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, over the arbitrary use of the NBC Act and Broadcasting Code to threaten, revoke, and shut down 53 broadcast stations in the country for failing to renew their licenses. Joined in the suit as defendant is the Minister of Information and Culture, Mr. Lai Mohammed. The NBC had last week revoked the licenses of the 53 broadcast stations and threatened to shut down their operations within 24 hours over alleged of 2.6 billion naira debts. The Regulatory Board of Broadcast Stations in a statement asked the stations to pay all outstanding license fees on or before August 23, 2022 or shut down by 12 a.m. on August 24th. In a statement by the General Secretary of the NGE, Iyogosa Iwegirin, and the Deputy Director, Serap Kolawole Oluwadare, the two groups asked the court for a declaration that Section 10, bracket A of the 10th Schedule to the National Broadcasting Act used by the NBC to threaten to revoke the licenses of 53 broadcast stations and shut down the broadcast stations is unconstitutional and unlawful, as it is violate the freedom of expression. The NGE and SERAP are also seeking an order of interim injunction restraining them, their agents or privies from revoking the licenses of 53 broadcast stations in the country and shutting down operations pending the hearing and determination of the motion on notice filed contemporaneously in these suits, says the Commission. Moving on to another angle of the world story this hour, the Oodua People's Congress has condemned the expensive cost of fuel and gas and demanded that pending when the nation's 4 refineries will begin local production, the President, Major General Muhammadu Buhari, retired, must halt any plan to remove fuel subsidy. The group made a call in a statement on Wednesday by OPC President Otuba Wasiu Afolabi, popularly called Askari. Askari is the leader of the Frederick Fashion faction of the APC. He warned that scrapping the fuel subsidy without locally produced fuel would further escalate inflation, endanger industries, and increase the hardship Nigerians already face. OPC also demanded the government must equally tame the galloping prices of cooking gas, domestic kerosene, and aviation fuel. Afolabi said many households and families are suffering due to the high cost of cooking gas and domestic kerosene. They want the government to alleviate their suffering by ensuring the price of gas, for example, returns to 256 kg at most, instead of current astronomical price of 85 naira kg. Lamenting that price of diesel also skyrocketed from 190 naira to 810 naira, Afolabi said these had a negative effect on industries and transportation, with attendant high cost of goods and services in the country. From that story, we move to the next story concerning ASU. The Ibadan zone of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has alerted the public that the federal government undertakers of privatization are ready to take over public universities from reach of the children of the masses. It said that President Muhammadu Buhari is leaving a legacy of a tragic epigram on the education sector in Nigeria. The union made this disclosure on Tuesday. The ASU has been on strike since February this year. The union said that it embarked on the indefinite strike due to the failure of the federal government to implement an agreement with the union in 2009. The union made these revelations in the release by its Ibadan Zonal coordinator, Professor Oyebamiji Oyegoke. Oyebamiji stated that Nigerians should join ASU to struggle and deliver public-funded universities to the children of the masses. He spoke further by saying that the elites intend to make children of the poor to serve their children who are currently in foreign universities. Moving forward to other story of the world news. A 300-level student of the Federal University of Dusima, Katsina State, has clubbed his stepmother to death and at the same time broke his father's leg and hand using a pestle for trying to stop him. Sources privy to the incident say 24 hours old, Sources privy to the incident say 24-year-old Najib Umar Shehu had on several occasions expressed his disdain for their stepmother, Adia Asiya Galadima, a retired civil servant with Katsina State government, promising to kill her one day. Najib's mother, a Fulani woman from Daura, and his father, Shehu Umar Balele, a zonal inspector of education with Katsina State Ministry of Education, have for long gone their separate ways. Najib, who is known in the neighborhood for taking all kinds of drugs and substances, according to reports, is alleging that his stepmother is responsible for the desperation and separation. Narrating the order to Vanguard, Mustafa Shehu Umar, the eldest child in the family, who also lives in the compound, said, "We have been having several issues with him, Najib. We took him to the police several times. Whenever we wanted to take action on him, our dad would refuse because he is the last born and he wanted him to study. He has told our stepmother several times that he doesn't like her, vowing that he was going to kill her one day, which he perhaps had done." Moving to the next story from likely the foreign story struck national story. The amount of money stolen by the late General Sani Abacha and his cronies, which have been repatriated to Nigeria by the United States, has hit over $334.7 million US, the U.S. ambassador to Nigeria, Mary Leonard, said on Tuesday. According to her, the U.S. government had been keenly aware of the devastating impact of corruption on societies, including eroding trust and reliability of government to deliver to their citizens. It's distorted economies and access to key services. It hinders development, pushes citizens towards extremism and mixed countries, and their officials susceptible to malicious foreign interference, the U.S. envoy emphasized. Lionel expressed these views during the signing of an agreement with the federal government for the repatriation. Moving on to the final story of this hour, coming from the sports angle. The General Secretary of the Nigeria Football Federation, Dr. Mohammed Sanusi, says the Falconet missed their flight from Istanbul, Turkey to Nigeria, adding that they were not stranded in the European nation. Sanusi's claim followed report that the Falconet, who left Costa Rica, venue of the 2022 Under-20 Women's World Cup on Monday after crashing out of the competition, was stranded in Istanbul. The players were pictured sleeping on bare floors and chairs at the Istanbul airport waiting for their flight. In a chat with The Punch, Sanusi described the report as mischievous and misleading, saying the girls missed their connecting flight. The Falconets were not stranded in Turkey. To say the girls were stranded is a mischievous statement. It's the fault of the airline, he told The Punch newspaper. That concludes the world news from BGI TV. Before we call it a wrap, some major headlines. Doctors fleeing Nigeria, not too many. We have backup. Buhari regime. Attacks, assassinations, or Shun government talks tough. Editors, Serap sues Buhari, NBC, others over plan to shut 53 broadcasting stations in the country. And finally, Falconet not stranded in Turkey, NFF Secretary claims. For more updates on YouTube, our handle is Baba Bagede Imo TV. Kindly subscribe and click on the notification bell for more updates. On Facebook, Bagede Imo with Alawiye Adebayo. Please like and follow the page. On Instagram, Bagede Imo _22. For advert placement of goods and services, coverage of event and function, please dial the phone number streaming on your screen for advert placement only. Thank you for watching. I am Morire Rebila Lawa. Good evening and have a wonderful day.
Oh, na, na, na. If you want to know what's going on in city, or you want to listen to the latest news and gist, no stress, oh, just tune to BGI TV. BGI TV, you're one in a million.